If men were that alpha, then they wouldn't be that bothered by this. Doesn't really help us when it comes to boys growing up. And that is one of my worries, that for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager, working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you...
Okay, I'm going to pause for a second, because as a man, I can tell you that is a... I'm sure it's for both. I can't speak on a teenage female because I'm not one. I never have been one, obviously. I've had a beard since I was 12 years old. Full beard. Like,
right.
I'm a hairy
like
bastard.
A lumberjack.
Yeah, it's bad. But when you are a teenager, everything is different, especially when those hormones kick in. You go from being a normal little kid to everything is exciting. You try to talk to people you've never tried to talk to before. You're experimenting with new things. You're trying to find the right way to talk to a girl. Like, and with social media being the way social media is, this is happening a lot earlier now than what it was when I was a kid, because we didn't have social media then. But like, could you imagine, obviously we're older. We're not teenagers. This doesn't apply to us, but could you imagine trying to navigate the waters now compared to what it was when we were kids?
No.
It would scare me.
Oh, God,
like,
I'd throw up every day.
I am not looking forward to our son growing up and having to live in this world and date with the way that this mindset is.
I was just thinking that. I am absolutely horrified.
Yep.
If this is the mindset that girls are growing up with today, I don't want him in a relationship.
Yep.
He would be happier single.
Be safer.
Oh, God, yes, he would be safer.
Here we go.
Yeah.
touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much.
I like that.
As a
I
mother
think
of
that
a
men
teenage
should be
boy, I
frightened.
don't like
Really?
that
That's
terror.
the richest thing I've ever
That
heard.
is
I think that
awful.
men should be frightened.
I think
You got anything on that one?
That makes me so mad.
You think men should be frightened to talk to a woman?
As a woman, in public places, I'm scared to be by myself.
Right.
That's not fun to feel. I don't like feeling that way. Why, as a woman, would you want that kind of fear in anybody else? It's not an eye for an eye.
Right.
That's a disgusting mindset.
I agree.
And you know, I made a TikTok specifically talking about how young men, boys, are growing up in today's society, seeing all of this hatred from women. They are growing up thinking that they're already part of the problem and they're not even in puberty yet.
Yep. Yep. It's almost like they're trying to teach us to feel guilty about being men. All right.
That attitude actually is part of the problem too. That's, to me, toxic femininity.
I love that.
Oh yeah, I love that term.
I mean, we really need to start utilizing that. If that's the way that they're going to demonize us, we should be doing the exact same thing. And I don't mean that like an eye for an eye situation, but like it
Right.
needs to be addressed. If you think that masculine or feminine can somehow be toxic instead of the person being toxic, if you're going to change the narrative and change the way the words are defined, then people are going to have to start following suit in order to be able to have these kind of conversations.
Right.
I think he's absolutely right in saying what he said.
I agree. Side note, I want to get a shirt. I'm going to say the F word. I wanted to say fuck toxic femininity, but the U is like that little X
Yeah.
that we use on t-shirts. I want that.
Okay.
that healthy.
Yes, I
The
think
other
it is
point-
actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then how do they ever start?
Well, don't. If you're not 100%.
Don't.
You gonna say something?
I need you to rewind that.
All right.
I need to hear that one more time. Thank you.
Femininity.
Is that healthy?
Yes, I
The other
think it is
point-
actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then how do they ever
Okay.
start?
So she doesn't want men getting into a relationship with a woman, or a woman shouldn't get into a relationship if it's going to ruin her life.
Right.
So he needs to be afraid of getting into relationships with anybody. So we are already causing trauma on the man for maybe in the future possibly causing trauma to a woman.
Right. And let's not talk about the fact that in the divorce, if they get married, she's going to get half of everything. If she has kids, she's going to get child support. She's going to get alimony payments for as long as they deem necessary. I think that it's safe to say that in most divorces, both people are traumatized by that, even without the court system. people are not going to be okay in a dating situation where everything that they have to deal with is a fear. There's nothing healthy about that. If you live in a fearful scenario, you're not going to communicate.
Right.
You're not going to go above and beyond. You are going to walk on eggshells all the time to make sure that your partner is okay, and they are going to have to do the exact same thing. Tell me where the healthiness is in that.
This really blows my mind. This whole thought process. I would never get into a relationship if I were a man in today's society.
I wouldn't either.
Nuh-uh. Women out there genuinely think this way, that they want men to be scared at that any moment. If you do something that upsets me, I'm going to claim SA.
Yeah.
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. Who raised you?
I think that when those accusations are made and proven false, if there was time being looked at by the dude, the woman should be the one that has to do it.
I agree.
Yeah. All right.
Well, don't. If you're not 100% sure.
What are you going to have? A bunch of neutered boys who
But
never
it's
had...
so obvious.
We actually do
It's
have that.
like-
Gen Z is having far less sexual.
Look at that smug look on her face. Gen Z is having far less sexual relations and far less kids than any previous generation. You know what that means? That means that in the next 50 years, our economies are going to start collapsing because there's not the growth that is necessary for the expansion of life is not going to be there. Factories are going to start closing. Big businesses are going to start closing. The ones who are, multi-billion, trillion-dollar conglomerates are going to continue to grow. Corporate situations are going to dominate the entire world. And what could have possibly been a saving salvation in that we are continuing to populate and, the people who could be destined to cure cancer or solve world hunger or whatever the case is now not being born because people are wanting to breed because of climate control and stupid shit like this. I'm a big advocate for dumb people not breeding, and for, I would love to see IQ tests to be able to have a child.
Yeah.
Obviously that's tyranny and I would never try to enforce that, but in my head, I think it's a great idea. I also think that people shouldn't be having babies unless they can afford to take care of them. Like, I have a whole lot of thoughts on all of that, and it's all personal opinion. It doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
But the idea of the world, the entire planet changing because there are less people being born, for whatever the reason is, means that growth is going to stop. As growth stops and the jobs that need to be filled aren't, and things start closing, it's going to affect everything on a global level. Shipping, driving, farming, all the things that are necessary for survival is going to suffer, and it's going to throw us into whole bunches of other problems because there's no longer people there to do the jobs necessary to feed the masses and clothe them and do all of that shit.
Right.
And that's something a lot of people don't think about.
No.
All right.
Yes,
than any
they
ever
are.
before.
It's true.
And
young
hang
people
on.
have stopped having sex.
I mean, did they really stop having sex or did
Just
they
stopped
stop
having
breeding?
kids.
Because there's a difference. I don't think that they stopped having sex. Oh, man. Come on, do the thing. There
Yeah,
we
no,
go.
I really don't think they've stopped having sex, because we just talked about a 20-year-old who said that she had sex with 6 different dudes in 1 week.
1 week, 256 body count when she stopped counting
When she stopped counting, she could have kept going.
in her 20s. No, she did keep going. She just stopped counting.
Right.